we going to do today? You know what we're going to do today? We're going to make some fun little journals. I'm going to give you some templates to make some different sizes, some different ideas on how to put them together, even doing some fun, funky cutting with some dies to make fun paper to embellish with. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a file folder to make my large book. I know this is long enough. You could actually cut this in half and you can get 2 out of it. Let's just cut this in half. I wanted to put fabric on one side. Makes your book more durable. You could just paint it. You could add decoupage paper to it. There are so many things you could do, but I am actually just going to glue this to here. And if you wanted to, you could seam it with a fusible web. I am just using a Mod Podge to glue this down. You could use any type of a glue you would like. So you're gonna flatten this out, make sure it's smooth. And I like this heavier weight fabric because it just seems like it's gonna give it a little more body. So I wanna let this dry on here. We're gonna have the template in there. Here is your template. It's very, very simple. So when you print it out, just draw around it and mark your holes. Now that this is dry, I'm gonna take my template, lay it on top. I'm going to draw all the way around and mark where my holes are. And you can use an awl, or if you have like a 16th inch hole punch, that works really well to make your holes. But then you have your guide of where you need those. And then I'm going to cut this out. So I have cut this out, and if you use a little punch, you can get nice circles there, and we are ready to decorate our cover. The holes will be on the left side, closer to the left side than the right side. We are going to put all of our pages in here. This will come up, and this will fold over part way. So the holes are closer to the left side. But let's just get decorating. What I have done here is I have several Thinlit dies. So if you have dies and fun pieces, I just line them all up on the plate and die cut it all at once. And it gave me this really fun texture. And I really wanted this over the flap that's going over the top. So to start, I am just going to glue this little guy down. So I'm taking this small piece of vellum, and I'm going to turn this over. And if you had a thin piece of clear plastic, that would work really well too. And I'm just going to use a Mod Podge once again. But when I have it on here, I can just carefully pick the whole thing up at once and lay it down. Now see, this is, if I had used a clear plastic wrap, it would have been easier to see, but at least I can get it down and maneuver it around a tad bit. And since Mod Podge is also a sealer, I'm just going to go over this real quick to help this adhere really well, because it's very fragile, but it kind of makes it fun. So after this dries, the next thing I'm going to do is some of the other pieces that you're going to have in your templates, these little pockets. And so when this dries, I'm just going to lay this on here, and I'm going to do a zigzag stitch all around and attach these fun pieces to my book. Okay, so I'm going to lay my pocket down, and I am just going to do a zigzag stitch all the way around. You don't need to do this. You could just adhere with a little bit of glue around your pockets, but I wanted to sew around them. And I'm going to add this pocket to the back, and you can add as many or as few as you would like. And I'm just going to add this cute little tag up here. I'm just going to sew around this little tag. And you actually could glue that or use some brads or whatever you would like. Okay, now I am going to paint this. So I've sewn these pieces on, and I did a zigzag stitch all the way around. I'm going to paint this whole back side, and then I'm going to paint these pieces in. If you use colored cardstock or a fun image on these, then you wouldn't even have to paint them in if you didn't want to. I'm using vintage linen. It's my DIY paint. You could use any paint that you would like or no paint at all. Try to be careful when I'm painting these so I don't get the paint on the fabric. But I think it's fun to have the stitches painted. That's why I'm doing it afterward. Okay, let's let this dry, and then we're gonna seal it, and we're gonna add some more embellishments. So I'm going to seal this now that this is dry with my liquid patina, and it's just a water-based sealer, and it's gonna give me a nice finish, so when I add my transfers on, they will stick well. And it also seals all this delicate paper. So I'm gonna let this dry real quick, and then I'm gonna seal the backside, let that dry, and then we'll add our last embellishments. So I think to embellish this, the first thing I'm gonna do is use my crackle stamp, and I'm just gonna use a gray ink. So I did seal the back also, and it is dry. That is why I'm stamping it now. And I'm gonna do that on the front too. And I really like using the gray ink. It doesn't come out as harsh. What I'm gonna do next is add my transfers. And I found some pieces, and these are just scraps that I have, and they work really, really well for projects like this when I only need little pieces. And I need to remember this is going to be like this. So what I'm gonna do is just cut some pieces out and layer some pieces. And since I've sealed it, the transfer adheres really nicely. And these will be covered, but I think it'll still look kind of fun. Okay, let's add a fun word to the top. I think we have to use curiosities. Okay, so I've done the outside mostly, so I think I'm gonna start on the inside doing a little decorating. Now I know where these holes are. I'm gonna have all my paper, so I'm not gonna really see that. So that's kind of my guideline. So you can decorate as much as you would like, and after you see the book done, you're gonna see how much room you really have for decorating. Gonna make sure all these pieces are burnished down nicely. I'm even gonna add a little more crackle over the top. So now what I'm gonna do is I am gonna use my Distress Oxide Vintage Photo, and I'm just gonna go around my edges, over my stitches. Careful if you actually are gonna do like an inlay of very thin paper on here when you're distressing. Spray it very lightly. Let's seal this, and then we're gonna start cutting our paper for the inside. Okay, now I'm just gonna put a sealer over this, and it's sealing my transfers plus my aging, and it even moves some of the aging around. So you really wanna let this dry, and then we'll do the other side. What I'm gonna do now is I am gonna make a hole in the center here where I am gonna put my ribbon through. I'm going in between these 4 dots and going down about to the center. I'm just gonna try to make it big enough that I can get my ribbon. So I'm just using this sari silk, but you could actually use elastic cording. You could use any type of a trim. And what I'm doing is I have this piece folded in half. I'm gonna set it on top of here, poke it through that little hole. Pull it up. I'm gonna make a tiny knot in this. So when I get all my pages in, I will have this, and this will wrap around. Let's get to our pages. This is very, very simple. You can use whatever you would like. So on this first one I did, I used all different types of paper. I used fun scrap paper. I have some vellum sheets here. Just a little bit of everything I could find, and I'm doing 4 signatures for this. The nice thing is they slide in and out. So let's say I really wanted to do something with just one sheet. Then I could just put it back in and slide these back under here. For this template, I'm using an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And you're gonna have a little excess. You want your sheets to be 5 by 8. And all I'm gonna do is fold them in half. Depending on the type of elastic, depending how big or short your paper, you might want different sizes. I'm gonna cut this a little bigger. And all I'm gonna do with this is, I want my ties on the inside. So it's gonna go across here. I'm gonna give it not a tight tug, just a little bit of a snug tug and knot it up. It's nice and knotted. See, my paper's actually as big as this, so there is a gap here. But if it's too tight, it will rip your paper. If not, I have it loose enough that I can actually line this up under, lay this in, then you can trim these, and you're going to fill the other 4 in the same way. So when this is full, then you could take your strings, wrap around, and you have a cute notebook. Here's the smaller version, and we'll have the template up there. And you can see it was just very simple. It's not a wraparound, but you can still add your pockets and make it in the exact same way.
So I hope you guys thought this was fun, and you could just change this and just make this up to fit whatever you're wanting to do. But I hope you guys give this a try. I'd love to see what you do, but whatever you do, have fun.